let's talk about Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders has kind of come out of his little hole. He appeared in New Hampshire over the weekend, and he had a lot to say. This is an interview.
Can I hear Chuck Todd's thoughts about it? I was about to ask.
You want to hear Chuck Todd's?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad I have it ready.
It just like popped into my head that I
take a listen for this.
Welcome back. Back in April, Senator Bernie Sanders, who of course was Biden's chief rival in the 2020 Democratic primaries, ruled out a third presidential bid and endorsed Biden for re-election. But on Saturday, Sanders was back in New Hampshire, one of those early presidential states where he won both the 2016 and 2020 primaries, to share what he called his concrete agenda for the future of the Democratic Party at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. Of course, when you go to New Hampshire, it sparks some speculation about his own political future.
Oh, Jesus.
It is no secret
that
I want Joe Biden to be reelected president.
Oh, my God.
If that is going to happen, if we are going to defeat creeping authoritarianism and right-wing extremism, there has got to be an ideological change of course.
So he's just full-blown Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
He's no longer upset at the system that made people desperate enough to vote for Donald Trump. He's acting like Donald Trump is the problem. Bernie Sanders is a fraud and an enemy of America. And that's not an exact. That guy's a fucking liar. That guy's a liar, and what he's doing is hurting this country. He's an enemy of the. He's just as big as enemy as Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders doesn't give a shit about this country. Bernie Sanders cares about Bernie Sanders.
Do you think that he's like doesn't know that he's lying?
He knows he's lying. He knows exactly what he's doing. Kurt, he's the one who taught me how fucked up the system is. He's the one who told me we can't do this anymore. He's the one who told me we shouldn't fear Donald Trump, but the system that gave us Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders knows exactly what he's doing, just like fucking Kyle Kalinske knows what he's doing, and Crystal Ball. They're all frauds and charlatans, and they don't give a shit about working people because they're not working people.
Oh, well, I was going to say, he comes off like... his abrupt turnaround, it comes off like someone who's being blackmailed so much to me. Like
a lot of people say that.
Of course they got him. Of course they got something on him.
It's so radically different than what he said that you're like, oh.
He used to start every speech in 2015 and 2016 by saying, it sounds like you're ready for a revolution. Yeah. He hasn't said that since, and now he's saying we got to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump is a threat. He knows that's bullshit, and he's letting his own party right now criminalize their political opponents. The exact thing that he said, that what he's saying we should fear of Donald Trump, he's actually pushing and enabling. He is the thing he claims Donald Trump is. That's what Bernie Sanders is.
Well, I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Well, it's creeping authoritarianism and fascism. We got to be careful of that.
It's
creeping.
It's
here, and
it's creeping,
and it came from you and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's not creeping. You fired 70,000 workers in one state alone because they wouldn't go along with your creeping authoritarianism. It's not creeping. It's here, and Bernie Sanders fully endorses it.
I like when some of those people you mentioned say, well, I don't agree with the fascism of the Democrats. It's corporate fascism. That's what fascism is.
Wait, what? I thought it was
corporatism.
I thought it's when your parents won't take you to a drag show as a kid.
That's fascism.
That's what I was taught.
Listen, we got a lot more. There's some juiciness over here.
I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
It's okay.
The independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, joins me now. Senator Sanders, welcome back to Meet the Press.
What a piece of shit this guy is.
Thank you for having me.
So, the fact that you felt the need to do this, should we read into the fact that you don't believe there's a second-term agenda yet that Americans can wrap their head around for what a second Biden term would look like?
No. I think what you can read into that is that Biden has every right to be proud of a long series of accomplishments.
Oh, my God.
Do you want to say what those accomplishments are? Because I'm trying to think about what they really are.
He went up and down the stairs 2 times yesterday, did not fall down.
like they do the same thing that Donald Trump did. Oh, the greatest economy, so many accomplishments. Donald Trump actually had a few accomplishments, like not going to war with Iran, keeping us out of war with Russia. A few other things out there. The First Step Act.
Not bombing Syria as much as they wanted him to. Not shipping arms to Ukraine and ramping up that war. He bombed some, but he didn't do enough to appease the military-industrial complex or the deep state, and that's why they criminalized Donald Trump.
Pulling out of the Horn of Africa.
I mean, goddamn fucking Bernie Sanders.
He sent troops out of
What an
Somalia. The
asshole.
very next day, Biden got in, sent them back.
Yeah,
like
right.
literally,
He's such a
get back.
Bernie Sanders is such an asshole.
3 years ago, this country was in the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression.
Oh, now they're doing
because
great.
of COVID. Today, unemployment is all of 3%. We're gaining new jobs,
things are doing
rebuilding
great, huh, Bernie?
manufacturing. We've invested
Tell
in
me
the
about how good Wall Street's doing.
infrastructure. We're
Infrastructure.
making progress.
Where?
And
Where?
Biden has a right to be proud of that. The point of my remarks is that you cannot simply, as President of the United States, rest on your laurels. What you have got to understand is that today, for structural reasons that have gone on for decades, tens and tens of millions of people are struggling to put food on the table.
Because of
they can't
you.
afford health care. They can't afford prescription
because
drugs.
you
They
wouldn't
can't
fight
afford
for them.
housing. They can't afford child
And you threw your movement
And meanwhile,
in the
in the
trash.
midst of all of that, you have incredible corporate greed, and the billionaire class has never done better.
So didn't he just contradict himself right
Yes.
over there the whole
He
fucking
just
time?
said two things. One, he's talked out of both sides of his mouth because that's what Bernie Sanders is, a double talking bullshitter who is never going to fight for you. He never did anything he said he was going to do, except what he does is prop up Wall Street, the military industrial complex. He's a war pig and a liar. He's the worst type of person because I'll take Mitch McConnell over fucking Bernie Sanders any day because I can see Mitch McConnell coming. I can't see Bernie Sanders coming because he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'll take the wolf in wolf's clothing any day over a piece of shit like Bernie Sanders.
We're here today because of Bernie Sanders' movement, but a lot of people claim that him throwing his movement under the bus was worse than actually starting the movement, which got us more politically aware.
It is. We're now back further back than we were the first time he ran. Now you got every asshole with a YouTube channel who calls themselves a lefty saying that we gotta support Joe Biden because of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They're all saying it,
Guys.
We're guys. Come on,
If you
guys.
believe,
guys,
as I do,
guys,
that Joe Biden is better,
guys.
you believe that?
Guys. And so now we are back further back than we were when he ran against Hillary Clinton because everybody agreed back then that we got it. We're done with the two-party system. They both answer to the same people. And now it's over. Now Bernie Sanders has convinced his followers, the empty-headed fucking idiots that they are, that somehow there is something worse than Joe Biden and the establishment. There's Donald Trump. What did he do that was worse than Joe Biden? I'll never know.
Well,
Biden saved Roe v. Wade at least.
I got a few things on which Joe Biden was supposed to do that didn't do, even
Let's
those
do it.
simplest things.
My message yesterday for the Democrats, not just for the president,
Yeah.
is if you want to do well in this election, talk to the needs of the American people, have the guts to take on the big money interests who have so much power.
It sounds like you don't think the phrase finish the job is something to rally around, that there needs to be more than that.
Well, yes, you need to recognize
God.
that not only have we accomplished a great deal in Biden's
have.
first 3 years, and he deserves credit for that. But there are so many long-term
unbelievable.
problems that this country is facing. Does anybody in America think that our healthcare system is working? And yet the insurance...
Did you see
Chuck Todd tee it up? Chuck Todd sounded like he was subtly threatening him. You sound like you're not getting behind the job of... What was their slogan?
Finish the job.
Finish it. Like Mortal Kombat. He goes, sounds like you're... And then Joe Biden froze like, oh God, please don't show the pictures. Yeah, what I'm saying is they have to... He seems blackmailed to me. Am I crazy?
Well, no. There's a whole theory about that they grabbed a hold of him, and a lot of people thought that Jane was threatened when they threatened to throw her in jail. That kind of straightened him out. There's a leak tape. Jane, his wife. There's a leak tape of Trump talking to guys saying he was the only guy I didn't want to run against. But then some of the people in the room said, well, it seems like they got a hold of Bernie. He said, yeah, they got him in the locker room and they had that talk with him, like straighten up and fly right. And the next thing you know, he's brothers and sisters. We need to vote for Hillary Clinton. He also said, I am once again asking you to support the oligarchy and the corrupt two-party system. Here's a little interview with Dana Bash. This is very interesting. Listen to this.
Sanders, Cornel West, who is a close ally of yours, he is running a third-party campaign for president. He recently criticized you for endorsing President Biden's reelection. Listen to what he said.
I love the brother, and you know, even in love, people have deep disagreements about these things. But I think again, he's he's fearful of the neo-fascism of Trump. People look.
So
the neo-fascism.
What Cornel West is doing is revealing he doesn't have a strong grasp of this situation, and what he's doing is giving an excuse to everybody who's a war pig and supports the two-party duopoly, even though they know better. So that is Cornel West excusing Bernie Sanders for going against his own movement, for betraying America, and being a war pig, not only with the CARES Act. The CARES Act should have been Bernie Sanders' death knell. What? No, and then he comes out to be a full-blown war pig? And not one criticism of Joe Biden, anything, didn't push for anything during COVID, not even health care for people, nothing. And what Cornel West just did was completely excuse it because of Trump. That's the whole thing the left is supposed to be fighting against, Cornel. That's the whole fucking thing, man. And you don't get it. You don't get that. We're supposed to be upset about the system that made people desperate enough to vote for Trump, not Trump. And the whole goddamn establishment loved Trump for their whole fucking life until they couldn't sell wars with him. And that's why they criminalized him and his movement. Not because he's a neo-fascist, whatever the fuck you think that means.
Well, also, if that is such a threat, why are you running, Cornel? You're just making it possible for the neo-fascists to win.
Yeah.
Give up now if it's such a
Give
threat.
up now if it's so scary.
Well, that's very telling because I think at the end, that's what we're going to see. I don't want to let the neo-fascists get in there, so maybe it's time I exit stage left. Like, he might do that. That's what he's telling me right now when he acts this way. And also, once again, like the interview I had with him, how are you going to reach out to people on the other side, the Trumpers you say you want to reach out to, if you can constantly call them neo-fascists, but you call Biden a milquetoast neoliberal? You're providing cover for him.
It's a 100% cover.
Biden, they don't really want to tell the full truth. He's created the best economy that we can get. Is this the best that we can get? You're going to tell that lie to the people just for Biden to win?
Huh. Okay.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is that certainly is not the best economy that we can create. That was what my speech was about yesterday. We've got to join the rest of the industrialized world, guarantee health care to all. We've got to cut the cost of prescription drugs in half. We've got to raise the minimum wage to at least.
But Bernie Sanders will never, ever do anything to get those things for you. Bernie Sanders will never stick his chin out. He will never use his leverage. He'll never ask his followers to get in the street and make something happen. It's all words for Bernie Sanders. It's all hot air because when push comes to shove, he's going to suck the corporate cock and give the finger to the worker, which he's done left and right for the last 3 years.
The Uvalde cops showed more hustle.
That's right. The Uvalde cops showed more courage than Bernie Sanders.
That's dark. But, you know, and it's also, too, it's kind of outdated. It's the same shit. It's the same speech from 2016.
It's bullshit. And he's not going to do a fucking thing about it.
Yeah. This Democratic Party, these... And it's so funny that Cornel West is running as a Green, but they got the same message. We got to stop the impending fascism.
They're just Democrat light. The Green Party, they have nothing to even... They don't even talk about green shit anymore. They don't talk about anything except with Democrat light.
Zero populist message.
Zero.
Dana Bash maybe I'm just projecting, but when they ask him these questions, it sounds, because there's such nothing things to say with the truth, but it sounds like the reporter's like, what do you say to this? Isn't it bad? Look at her face. Like,
watch how it ends up.
It's not a great economy.
We're going to finish up this clip really quick and then get to our guest, but listen to this real quick. We'll finish this up.
$17 an hour. We got to build the affordable housing we desperately need. But where I disagree with my good friend, Cornel West, is I think in these really very difficult times where there is a real question whether democracy is going to remain in the United States of America. Donald Trump is not somebody who believes in democracy. Whether women are going to be able to continue to control their own bodies. Whether we have social justice in America. We end bigotry. Around that, I think we've got to
Go ahead.
Bernie Sanders is against you controlling your own body. He was for. Is he not for mandates? Was he not for mandates? He's not for you controlling your own body.
Roe v. Wade, so on 2 counts.
and then Democrats could have codified Roe v. Wade anytime they wanted, and they didn't on purpose. So this idea that the Democrats are a friend of the women's bodily autonomy is bullshit.
Oh.
They're not for anybody's bodily
Do you
autonomy.
mean women with dicks? Because then I'm with him.
Guys, we have creeping authoritarianism coming in. Democracy is on the ballot. Because
he is such a piece of shit. Bernie Sanders, an unmitigated liar, fraud, coward, and an enemy of the people he claims to champion.
Yeah. And then when when it's finished up, they pretty much ask him, well, what do you think about people just taking advantage of Cornel West and putting him on the ballot, just to have his name on the ballot? Bernie Sanders punts and says, I'm not following it that closely, and then he just lets it go. That's all you need to know, because that's all we're going to play from that clip.
You know, he's a big Spanish soccer fan, so he's probably all got his brain fogged with all that information.
Yeah.
Why would he follow the presidential? He's such a liar.
And he's old and outdated, and this shit is...
He's so old.
It's not a winning ticket.
He's such a liar.
I'd rather watch Joe Biden give a speech in Hawaii than watch
Bernie Sanders bullshit me like this.
I almost lost my cat. We're gonna
come see us live on tour. We're gonna be in Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, Tampa, Boca Raton, Orlando, Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.